Hello everyone, so during this YouTube video today, I'm very happy to say we'll be finishing off King Ghidorah today. Long live the king. To start off this video today, we'll be adding plasticine muscles, I do say. Along with some wing experimentation, you could say. But I'm sad to say it didn't work according to plan, one could say. But that's okay, I had a plan B anyway. For more than one thing, you could say, because we also had to do some dragon surgery during this video today. Then once the wings are done, it's on to the final details, which is always fun. Now, I do say, if you appreciate all the hard work that has gone into this video today, be sure to hit that like button as hard as a kaiju, I do say. Because this has been the hardest project I have ever worked on to this day, and it took about 5 weeks to make, you could say. But as I sculpt away, we'll be learning about this species King Ghidorah today. It's said he came from another place, the sky possibly, or the stars. He was the youngest son and would not inherit territory, so he came to Earth to find his own long ago. That quote is from Godzilla King of the Monsters novelization, describing Ghidorah or Monster Zero. This information has been around for years, but has hardly been spoken about in the community of Monsterverse fans. The Ghidorah that overwhelmed planet Earth, mankind, and Godzilla was an outcast who was weaker, smaller, and younger than the other members of his royal family. Hard to believe after seeing the monster tear Earth's atmosphere and Godzilla to shreds. The devil with 3 heads left his home in search of a place where he could feel powerful and like a true king. So he came to Earth. His low rank in his family hierarchy tore at the dragon's pride and ego. And conquering Earth is how he could finally feel true domination. The same feeling his other family members had. During this video, we're going to theorize what Ghidorah's family was actually like, and why he felt he had to run away from home in order to get what he wanted: power. And if you're new here and enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you're already a subscriber, I just want you to know I highly appreciate your support. So before I get into this theory, I am just expanding upon the known lore for Ghidorah, with what we think could be the truth in this fantasy world. So bear in mind, this is just ideas and theories, so with that said, let's get into it. Ghidorah was the weaker and younger son in his family royal line. Similar to real-world royalty, the Ghidorah species must have had a culture and society that allows certain members of the species to claim the crown for their own and rule the territory till the day they die. Simply due to his age and his siblings who were born before him, he would never rule. This implies Ghidorah has parents, or at least one parent, that is still likely the true King Ghidorah in this Monsterverse lore. After that one supreme ruler had as many siblings that were needed to fill the dragon's territory, 4 of the Dragon Empire were born before the Ghidorah that we know came into existence. For the sake of envisioning this theory, picture a King Ghidorah ruling a planet that's harsh and extreme. Volcanoes cover the entirety of the surface and a reddish glow hue covers the entire land. In one of the old Toho lore lines, Ghidorah actually came from the planet Venus. So for the sake of continuity, let's imagine Ghidorah's home planet is Venus-like in representation in the Monsterverse. There, the King Ghidorah reigned supreme, but they weren't done expanding there. Our own solar system has 8 planets, and while we can never know what this fictional system that the Ghidorahs came from has within it, let's just say there are 8 planets there as well. Each one of them having one of Ghidorah's siblings ruling the lands. There could even be more of his family members before him who also have no territory of their own, or coming their way, but are at the top of the line when one of the ruling siblings perishes. The lore stated that he will never have a chance to gain territory. So for all we know, Ghidorah could be the 15th infant or even lower down the family hierarchy. 4 creatures that appear to never die for multiple reasons. The only way Ghidorah could gain territory of his own was if he was able to kill one of his family members and take the land for his own. Being much younger, however, the likelihood of Ghidorah being able to overthrow one of his elder siblings or parents seems highly unlikely. That would be a battle the monster simply couldn't win. So his only option was to leave his kind solar system and find a new place where he could finally be in control and be the dominant one. So, quick briefing here on the failed experiment. Unfortunately, this polymer clay is not flexible enough, you could say, for the wings that I plan on making. So it's on to plan B, which will be some plasticine wings. Now back to the Ghidorahs. Ghidorah in this theory is like the egocentric, spoiled son in the line of wealthy and powerful parents. And while his life was probably just fine, he couldn't be happy with not being in the spotlight all the time. He wanted others to bow to him and flatter his ego. But to his family members and species, well, they all saw him as an outcast. And from there, you know what happened to Ghidorah. He decided to travel through space, either hitching a ride on an asteroid, or using some sort of physics-breaking powers to open up a wormhole to shoot him somewhere in the galaxy. There's also the chance that he flew all the way through space, as it is implied that Ghidorah doesn't breathe oxygen as we know it. But this seems really ridiculous even in a YouTuber's fantasy world. That just seems to be way too long of a distance. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. Ghidorah made it to Earth eventually, though, raging war with Godzilla and the other titans. Then was frozen in his icy tomb for eons and was awoken to be killed by Godzilla. Ghidorah's consciousness survived within his physical skulls that remained, and his spirit was flushed into Mechagodzilla. When the power from the Hollow Earth amplified this telepathic connection, Ghidorah himself came back to life in a way, gaining just enough of his past self to understand and continue his plan for domination. Luckily for everyone, the mechanical beast had a big weakness. Well, cheap liquor apparently. In Mechagodzilla, Ghidorah was once again put to death. But who's to say before he passed, the mechanized monster didn't use technology like satellites to control his body in the first place, didn't send a message out into the vastness of space, traveling for an undetermined amount of time and an unfathomable amount of distance. Possibly all the way back to Ghidorah's solar system. A hard-to-believe idea, but not impossible in this universe, I think. But could his siblings or even King Ghidorah hear this call for help? Before we get into this, let's open our thoughts and minds, and try to describe the rest of Ghidorah's family and what they could have possibly looked like. The variations of this creature could be vast. Something like what the Monsterverse hints at with Godzilla. Ghidorah's iconic three-headed design could be just unique to him. It is possible that members of his kind have even more heads, or possibly less. Ghidorah towers over Godzilla, but could be half the size of some of his older, more developed counterparts. And I'm sure there are some that are smaller as well. I honestly like the idea of them having or retaining the iconic dragon-like appearance and having some sort of wings. However, some could have arms and wings, and not the classic armless wing approach that we've seen on all variations of Ghidorah over the decades. Some could be four-legged and powerful, and some others could have a snake-like body. If you think Ghidorah as a representation for a dragon, then all forms of dragons found all over the world in human cultures could be represented within the variations members of this monster's family and species. Perhaps just like fantasy dragons, Ghidorah's families were very diverse, not just in their appearance, but their personalities and morals. Ghidorah is a classic villain dragon template, who is hell-bent on conquering new lands for his own. But maybe he had some siblings who were honorable, and lived by a strict moral code. Perhaps some were loners and just wanted to be left alone in their lairs. And maybe some did their best to keep peace between their worlds. Just because Ghidorah was an evil monster in the movie doesn't mean the rest of his kind would be the same way. A solar system ruled by gigantic, mighty dragons. The premise sounds pretty cool to me. Now that we have an idea of the Ghidorah species, would any of them come to check on Ghidorah if they received a strange distress signal from their long-lost relative? There is a slight chance another salty species member of his own world would one day grow tired of never getting territory just like him, and set out like he did and possibly stumbling down the same route as Ghidorah and finding Earth. Unless the signal somehow gave Earth's exact location. But until we know how Monster Zero found Earth, the likelihood of another member of his species actually finding the planet is very unlikely. Or, in the Monsterverse, Ghidorah actually does come from Venus, which would imply that he's gonna get to Earth pretty quick. We already know the royal Ghidorah family left in charge would have no interest in leaving their own territory, in hopes of finding their own sibling who long ago betrayed them for his own gain. That is, of course, if the planet that the species ruled were still in a position that could support these monsters. It would take something pretty drastic to happen in order for one of these monsters to leave their solar systems, I think. King Supreme Ghidorah and any of his offsprings wouldn't waste their time searching the galaxy. unless the place they called home had been destroyed. That being said, if Big Daddy G came to Earth, possibly looking to utilize the insane power of the Hollow Earth, it would take all the titans of the Earth to stop it. And well, that kinda sounds familiar. Just like any good alien invasion, you can always stop the first wave, but it's only a matter of time before the next one shows up and it's back again for revenge. But could this work even in the future of the Monsterverse? With new shows and movies in development, the Monsterverse is growing nicely, and almost any idea could be brought to life in this fictitious universe. Personally, I think a graphic novel of the King Ghidorah world would be a great idea for the Monsterverse to expand upon the lore. I could see it working out well for fans, and it would definitely be a good read, because, well, I definitely would read it. And that concludes our deep dive on the King Ghidorah species. I hope you have learned something new during this video, and if you have any other interesting facts about King Ghidorah species, or King Ghidorah, or dragons in general, let me know in the comments below. And seeing how we're on the topic of fun facts, I figured I would share some stats on this claymation King Ghidorah. Now, up first and foremost, this has been by far the most complicated and hardest project I have ever worked on in this channel's history. Or, I mean, to be more wide, probably in general, my entire sculpting history. So, I've been sculpting a lot longer than I've been on YouTube, obviously, so it was difficult. But I'm very happy that it's all over, and it was definitely worth the 5 weeks that it took. He is 16 inches tall with a 25.5 inch wingspan, weighing approximately 11 pounds, each wing weighing 1 pound. It's definitely going to be a fine balancing act to do some animations with this massive stop motion character. However, I am definitely up for that task. Now, the real question is, how much XP did I gain from this project? Now we're going to talk about some projects that will be coming soon here to Moose Motion, so you have more to look forward to, well, coming in the near future here. So first, the request leaderboard. Up first and foremost, we have Gasosaurus leading, and then we have, well, Monsterverse Godzilla, as well as King Kong. Now, just to quickly fill in some people that might be unaware or new here, there's essentially a point system, so if you have something you would like to see be made here at Moose Motion, and then turned into a stop-motion cartoon, essentially just leave a comment below what you would like to see made, and I will add it to my list. And essentially, if a character or dinosaur in particular gets a lot of requests, it gets more points added towards it, and will be, well, probably made in, well, more urgency in comparison to some of the other projects, because obviously the audience wants to see that more. So, this is essentially a way for me to direct what kind of content I would be making for the audience that's a lot more active for this platform. Now, obviously, we're going to take a short break from requests here because I would like to do a Kaiju Christmas special, so there will be an animation preparation video coming your way very soon. So if you have any ideas for a Kaiju Christmas special, let me know in the comments below, and perhaps I will add it into the animation if I have time. I have a bit of a tradition here and setting up my studio, well, for the following season that's coming up here, and it would be kind of fun to involve my community a little bit more with this tradition. So let me know what your ideas are in the comments. And the characters I would like to involve during this animation project would be Godzilla -1, obviously King Ghidorah here, if I can find 3 little Santa hats that would be perfect, as well as Gojira. So let me know what your ideas are and let's brainstorm together. And if you're new here, now would be a good time to subscribe because there's a lot more creative ideas coming your way, I'm happy to say. So we're obviously at the point of the video where I'm touching up the final details here, and I can't express enough how difficult it was to try and make nearly 3 identical faces. That took a lot of time. Not to mention the giant wings. Another one of my arch nemesis is apart from spikes. I also hate spikes now too. God, these kaijus. Yeah, they give me a lot of weird irrational fears. So, if you appreciate all the hard work and effort that goes into these massive claymation projects, I definitely would appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up as hard as you possibly can, because this project literally gave me nightmares. At the beginning, I woke up in the middle of the night, yeah, thinking about 3-headed dragons, so this one was definitely intense. And be sure you have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new short updates or any of my new videos coming out soon. And if you really enjoy this type of content and would like to see more, be sure to check out the post description in this video after you're done watching, so you will find other links to videos as well as my social media pages. Anyway, I just had to finish attaching the head here, and I will leave you to the glamour shots. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care till next time. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end of the video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. Anyway, that's enough from me. Till next time, take it easy. And quick shout out to Cretaceous Kook ×2 for spotting Milton the Moose.